Guys, welcome to ElkShape YouTube channel. Today we are going to go over the bridge lock system, a little bit more detail on problems with windage and how to avoid them, which dovetails are actually going to fit the bridge lock, which ones are not, direct mount versus dovetail, strengths and weaknesses with MFJJ. Stick around to the very end because we're going to tell you what to do if you're running into windage problems. All right, Josh, so this is my V3X 33.
Correct.
We need to build strings for it still. We're gonna do podium.
Thanks for reminding me we need to build strings for it.
I'm gonna remind you like sandpaper every time I see it, but we're talking about sights right now. So what sights fit this perfectly? Which ones don't? What are the options? And to be honest with you, we're gonna get my 29 out here and I'm gonna show that I am actually running into problems with windage with my certain setup. And I know people are going to run into that same issue, and I wanna show them how they can workarounds.
Yeah, well, in the left to right issue, you run into different configurations, and the way people hold a bow or the way their bow's tuned will make it different too. So one that doesn't clear on one guy's bow might clear on the next. So just because John's works doesn't mean Frank's is going to work either. Just keep that in mind.
Okay.
But this was designed for an Axcel, period. Okay, so this cutout in here was made specifically for it. Mathews edition 5-pin fixed sight it's a cut down bridge lock Axcel dovetail. That guy,
it says Mathews on it.
Says Mathews on it because it's specifically for Mathews. That fits better than anything. If you put it in there, even without the screw in it, it barely moves up and down. It's just a good snug fit. That's really what it's designed for. So the actual dovetail, what would come on a Landslyde, is your Axcel. This says Achieve XP, but it's the same dovetail. It's just longer. So your traditional Landslyde head, I didn't have one in the shop that had a dovetail on it. It bolts on in that place, exactly the same as the direct mount. So if you're just absolutely have to have one of those sights, like you're dying for it, and you don't care what it costs, and you don't care where you get it, if you can find one with a direct mount and then just buy a carbon dovetail, it'll bolt right on and you've got it.
How much is the carbon dovetail-ish?
I didn't check, probably $100, $80, something like that, somewhere in there, but it also fits Butemus nice and tight. So remember, that's what it's designed for. So when you're comparing, a lot of manufacturers are saying, oh, ours fits, ours fits, ours fits. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of things that fit in an opening, but sometimes it doesn't fit very good. So this fits like it was meant for it. Did you like that? Did you like that? So this is the ideal fit. Now, I have been assured with Black Gold that they are making a dovetail that is designed specifically for this. So I would assume that it would fit as this does.
Like a glove.
Like a glove, one would hope. So, and the trick here, or the hack per se, once again, you just got your brand new V3X 33 or 29 and you just have to have a new sight. Maybe you're really hot on that dual track Black Gold. Maybe you're hot on a Landslyde. These things are 8 months behind, so good luck. If you can't find one or don't have one on back order, you're not getting one, or it's going to take a really long time. If somebody knows where there are some, share it, tell people, because they're really hard to get.
Put in the comments.
So in the comments, talk, share, give everybody the opportunity. But I'm a real big fan of Black Gold's products. So the hack here is to buy a direct mount Black Gold sight now. If you put a direct mount sight on here, the Quiver systems will fit. So you can buy your low pro 2-piece, you can buy your low pro 1-piece detachable if you want, and use your direct mount sight and go sight it in, play with it, have all the fun. And then when Black Gold releases their dovetail, it's not going to cost different than if you bought that sight with the dovetail already on it. There is no savings whatsoever buying it already built. You can throw the direct mount piece away, it bolts right on, readjust your left to right, you're good to go. So if you're in a pinch and you just have to have one now, that's probably the smart play. I have 200 other dovetails on order right now. I do expect that to be the best selling thing for me this year, so I ordered a whole bunch of them right out of the gate.
That's awesome. Now let me ask you about this little, let's say you get your hands on this. Can you Frankenstein, because that would crush? Can we Frankenstein a sight? Like could you use the dual track and mount it with that dovetail?
Probably not. In fact, guaranteed not. So like Spot Hogg's system here, this whole assembly comes off when you go to a dovetail, so you're not going to be able to adapt somebody else's dovetail to it the way it's made. Just no way around it. Also, this will clear on a direct mount in here And you can still use the Quiver. So don't panic and go, oh, I can't put this on there, it won't work, blah, blah, blah. Yes, it will. And if you want to have the jumbo ring on there, you're probably going to need it. Because if you put it on dovetail, it might not fit just right. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Now your Spot Hogg dovetail, your Fast Eddy Axcel triple stack, I think that's a 10,000. Yeah, we got lucky and got a dozen of these the other day. So we still
by
have a
the
couple
way,
of these floating around. Yeah.
can we weigh that today?
Yeah, we can figure out what the actual functional weight difference is between the two.
Maybe you're
Now, only problem is you're gonna have to guess a little bit because we don't have their finished dovetail versus this dovetail. So we don't know the physical weight, but if we're gonna assume that the direct mount and the dovetail are really similar in weight. It's probably not a massive difference overall physically. I'm betting the dovetail's lighter, but it's gonna make the Spot Hogg look a little better if we weigh it that way. So it's giving them the benefit of the doubt again. So this guy, now, like I said, this slides in. It fits. Now, granted, if you screw it down, it's gonna lock up tight. So I wouldn't be like, oh my God, this is terrible.
With this one real quick, like show me if
yeah,
there's any
so
play.
that's 50-50 out each side-ish. That's about your amount of play. 50-50. That's what, a quarter of the amount of play, probably?
Yep.
Like I said, this was designed for this. So just because it fits doesn't mean it fits snug. There are some that are like really bad that they still say fits, and I'm not gonna name names because I don't want anybody to get their feelings hurt or nothing, but there's a couple of these that have like a lot more slop than this. But at the end of the day, if it looks like this, right, and it gets in the hole, when you tighten it up, it should still go to the exact same spot every time. But the ball end of this lines up with the ball here. So this, you may end up getting a burr that's off center. When you go to tighten it down, it might not fit quite in the ball end here. Because if you look at that, that's gonna come in higher than that. I bet you it doesn't quite line up. So when you go to tighten it, it's probably not gonna sit perfectly down the hole. It's probably gonna be staggered, and you may not tighten it up all the way, and it might shift. So, but all in all, it's, what is it like, oh God, don't use that? No, it's just, it's not quite made for it, so it doesn't quite fit, just being fair. So, the way Black Gold's third axis is, it's in here.
Oh, come on.
So unless you want to remove your third axis completely, which I would strongly advise against, you're going to lose the first axis, and you're going to lose the third axis and the micro adjust first axis, because that little screw is in this piece. This piece is going to come off if you try to Frankenfurter this to here. Now,
so then here's
the holes are actually close. No, they don't line up either. So could you get this on here? Yeah, probably, if you really had to do it. But you're gonna lose your third axis, your shootable third axis, I might add, that nobody else has, and your first axis micro adjust. Just be patient.
Well, now when the dovetail comes out, you won't lose it?
Correct. Well, the dovetail is replacing from here back. So right here, this will stay on here, and you unbolt from in here. So a lot of people that maybe haven't played with the Black Gold a lot or never ran into a left to right issue with the Black Gold, this part and this part separate, and there's a bunch of holes in here and in here to move the whole assembly left or right. When you get the new dovetail, that's where it's going to come in at. It's going to be right here. So you're going to take these two screws off, and then there's two screws that go in this way from here to here that you're going to remove, and then bolt this onto the dovetail, bolt the dovetail body at that point back onto here, slide it in, screw it in. Pretty simple. However, when you put this on here, just like it is, and you bolt your Quiver on, as long as you don't back this up too much this way, it will not be in the way of any arrow. So if you bolt that on just like that with their low pro quiver, you can put all 5 arrows in your quiver. You're not selling yourself short immediately. And don't forget, this with the dovetail on it costs $100 more, or you can just buy this sight now and then buy the $100 dovetail later.
I think that's what most people should do.
Solution.
It's the dual track. Get the dual track. It comes with the Pro Sight componentry as far as micro adjusts. Got your first, second, third rail adjustment, and your dovetail won't screw up your shootable third axis.
Correct.
Last but not least, cameraman Jake Webb, will you hand me that V3X 29?
So you've got the tripping balls, the mega tripping balls, and then the original ring. So if you look at Dan's little dovetail that we put in here and where he ended up having to sight it in, it's got the smallest ring and it's pretty much touching.
And if I didn't have the smallest ring, I would not be able to be that far over.
Yeah, if you put the larger ring in there, he would not be able to move it over. And mind you, that's a double pin head. See this big old gherkin? Now they have other pieces on here to move it, but it does pretty much bury it all the way to the right in most instances. Now, if you torque your bow a little bit or your cams aren't leaned just right, you may run out of adjustment altogether. But don't look at it and go, there's something wrong with it. It's just the left to right adjustment on these things is not really designed for this yet. I'm willing to bet you're gonna see some redesigns, especially if this becomes more of a universal thing. Like if other manufacturers start putting this in their riser, maybe you see a bunch of sights change, but just about any sight you put on there is gonna be buried to the right.
Is there any way, any hack for this sight, Fast Eddy XL, to get more windage? Because let's be honest.
Well, that's a Fast Eddy XL with the double pin.
Yes.
So the double pin's a round housing with a sliding barrel.
Yep.
The triple stack has a big block that rotates back and forth to allow you to move the head farther this way and farther that way, a little more than this. So if you're using this, you're probably just kind of hosed as far as how far it's going to go over.
There you go.
If they make a part, I haven't seen it. That doesn't mean they don't, but I haven't seen a part that allows you extra right windage on that sight. So FYI, regular double pin Fast Eddy XL, pretty much going to be buried to the right.
And that's where I'm at.
And if you had a little left to right variance, you couldn't sight it in with the dovetail.
I'm pretty much out of windage here. And so my hack would be to just swap this out for the triple stack.
Right now, yeah, because that has the, if you look at the way this lines up, they have a flipping bracket on it. Where is that? So this funky little bracket here allows you to bolt it on about 100 different ways to move the mounting base left or move the mounting base right, allowing you to move this farther left to right. We've put a couple of these on and been able to sight them in relatively easily, and there's still a little left to right to go in most instances, so this should be okay. But like a regular double pin's just gonna max out. And if you had a bigger housing on there, it would be worse. Smaller housing, better. So like a lot of your bigger sight housings, if they make a dovetail, you're probably gonna run into a left to right problem because you almost ran into left to right problems with those on the direct mount to begin with. Now we're moving the whole mounting base into the left, which means the sight's gotta go to the right. Probably gonna run out of adjustment on those. I haven't gotten every single solitary thing in yet since these have come out because there's such a shortage on dovetails, and as some of you are aware, I was not a big fan of dovetails at all. So I didn't carry a ton of them in the shop, so we don't have access to everything that we need to check and check left to right, but you're gonna run into it a lot. Got it?
So the total weight of this sight is?
0.8 pounds according to the scale.
Okay.
So that's 0.8 of a pound.
And the
0.6.
sight weighs?
And even if I shake it, it goes 0.5, 0.6, 0.5, 0.6, that goes 0.8, 0.9, 0.8, so 0.9. And that doesn't have the mounting bolts that bolt that to that, so it's probably a pound. In closing, the Axcel dovetail is easily the best fitting thing to put in there. Black gold's supposed to be making that base exact same size, so you should be able to get a black gold to fit in there that's gonna fit really good. And in short, if you just gotta have a sight, buy a direct mount black gold, wait for the dovetail.
That's it. Guys, we have a lot of options when it comes to YouTube. Thanks for choosing our channel. We try to have these open, honest conversations. We want to answer your questions. Keep it real. We appreciate your support. We will catch you on the next one.